21-22, we bid $23 per yard for 3/4 inch winter sand delivered to town yard and mixed with the town supplied salt and piled in the shed. This is for 14 CY loads. What's the CY? Cubic yard loads delivered at the request of the road supervisor. So those are the items that were requested in our winter sand bid. There's also a sample that was brought, also required by the.
Just so the board knows, the sand is the same we've used for the last. Same vendor, same pit.
Okay, same vendor, same pit. Doesn't taste like this. Chocolate.
$2 a yard increase over last year. The vendor went up $1.50 a yard.
You're rounding it
Our
out.
cost, and because of the fuel cost, we figured we had to go up a little bit on our trucking end, so. And $2.
What's it doing?
Yeah, I know,
Thank you for explaining
Archie does like the darker sand.
I brought enough so that I could stand the walkway at least once.
What do you think,
it.
Mark?
You think you could lift that?
Is that the same sand you used 2 years ago too?
Yes.
It's the same, it's, yeah.
Let me just take a 1 minute thing, because the senior head there would like to have the person who's talking.
I'm sorry, what you need?
We need to have, so the person who's talking. Speaker, yeah, okay,
Like that?
so,
David's not talking now.
no, okay, go to the view again,
Look at it. I didn't.
full screen. Okay,
Now he's full screen. He's still
He's
not
smiling.
now put down,
I would probably go to just gallery. Gallery's best.
okay, that's the one I want, yes, thank you.
Okay, does there anybody have any questions or concerns about the sand sample nor the bid that was received? It is $2 more per cubic per yard than last year. The price was raised $1.50 from the vendor and rounded off to $2 with the transportation.
The bag was open. I didn't want to fall over.
All right, there are no other bids came in the mail, posted by mail, nothing else came email, not supposed to be email. So I will make a motion that the town of Brookline accept the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons for the winter sand at $23 per yard for 3/4 inch winter sand delivered to the town yard and mixed with town supplied salt and piled in the shed at the request of the road supervisor. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan Noga. Any further discussion? Anybody have anything to add?
Question.
Yes, sir.
What is it that makes that 3/4 inch sand? It's obviously the pellets are not 3/4 inch.
I took some out of their pile,
Uh-huh.
and, you know, when they make it, typically the stones roll to the bottom. I was sitting in my truck waiting for everybody to come, and I was looking at it, and I said that.
It's a little smaller than 3/4 inch, which is
But
actually
if
a
you
little
look at
better.
your township, it's exactly the same sand we
Okay.
brought last year.
So it's everything from minimal to the largest would be 3/4.
3/4 is the maximum.
Okay.
But, you know, when you get an ice storm or those pieces are above, they'll grab into the ice, make better traction. When it's packed.
Also, it's a dark colored sand, so it draws the sun better.
Yeah, yeah.
Melts its way quicker as soon as the sunlight gets it.
Any other?
No, thank
Very
you.
good. All right, hearing no other discussion, all those in favor of approving the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons for the winter sand bid for 2021-22, signify by saying aye. 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 David, thank you. I'm gonna put the sound up a little bit. All right, the bid has been accepted. Thank you very much. And appreciate working with you again this winter. Hopefully we won't have any snow.
It's the ice we're worried about.
Yeah.
climate change, has been some interesting things.
Okay, we'll move along then through the agenda. Review and approve minutes from August 12th. I apologize for not getting this out. This was tabled at the last meeting because I didn't have it done properly. So I did email out to everyone and I gave a hard copy to those who showed up this evening for the draft minutes. Does anybody, has everyone had a chance to take a look at it?
Yes.
David, did you get a chance to take a look at it? I apologize.
Looking at them right now. So,
I had to modify, make sure I had time in there, statements, legal statements.
Cool.
Okay, looks good. All right, since I wrote the minutes, I'm not gonna make my own motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Motion is on the floor to accept the minutes as written. May I have, by Bruce Mello, may I have a second?
Second,
Seconded by Stan, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the draft minutes as presented for Thursday, August 12th, special meeting, 2021, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes will be changed to final, and I will email that later tonight to you for posting. Thank you very much. Okay. August 18th, 2021, regular meeting minutes.
Okay, I'll let you,
Okay,
I wouldn't go back and forth with them.
sure.
You do what you
All right, we're gonna
want.
take a look at the meeting minutes. There are 6 pages. On page 1, anybody have any modifications for the minutes from page 1?
Members of the public, and throughout the whole document, Tom Statz's name needs to be corrected.
Okay, Peter, Tom Stats, his name is spelled S as in Sam, S-T-A-A-T-S,
As in Sam.
as in Sam. And
Okay,
so,
you're gonna have to give me the old military thing, because these letters are impossible to distinguish.
okay, all right, I don't know if I know the old military, but Sam, Peter, Alan, Tom, Frank. No, that's what you gave me, excuse me.
Yeah, that's,
Good, that's good enough. I don't know the military either.
That's, let me write it out. S-T-A-T, is it 2 A's now?
AATS.
ATS.
Sam, Thomas, Alan, Thomas, Sam,
that's,
okay? S-T-A-A-T-S.
I'm sorry, the last letter is S as in Sam.
Sam.
Is an S as in Stanley.
Oh. So it has 2 S's, 2 T's, and 2 A's.
That is correct, 2 S's, 2 T's, and 2
But not
A's.
together.
It's spelled the same
I-
forwards and backwards.
Oh, yeah, spelled the same
A
forward and backwards.
palindrome, oh my God. I'm so glad we had this little talk.
There's another correction on page 1 when you get.
Yes, what else on page 1?
I believe it's a correction. Under unscheduled members of the public, 3rd line, last, 3rd and 2nd word from the end. The meeting house, is that 1 word or is it 2 words?
we've always put it down as 1 word rather in all my
That's
things,
what I
so.
recall,
Yep.
so
Sure.
just that one modification additional.
So change the 2-word meeting house to 1 word.
Okay.
I have a question. It is under unscheduled members of the public. It's between paragraph 2 and 3. Let me see. I have an email. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna, never mind. I have no other questions for page 1. Anything else? Page 2 of 6. All minor changes were words from the spelling of Tom's name. Bruce, you have some
Oh,
corrections?
not really.
I do.
Yeah.
When?
In the 1, 2, The paragraph after Miss Maggio acknowledged, it says Mr. Stats suggested.
Yeah,
It says in the third sentence down that the grant had not. So I think it's supposed to be the grant had not been approved. Not was had not. The
Kind of
grant
thing.
had not been approved.
Corrected.
And then from there, 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph down, where it says Miss Maggio confirmed Mr. Stats' account, it says the roads were being maintained as possible. I think it should be were being maintained as good as possible or something, I'm not sure, I wasn't there. But that just doesn't sound right.
Okay, so as good as possible. Anything else
No,
on
that's,
page?
no, sorry, that's unacceptable English, but I will correct it.
I knew you would do that.
Stan?
Yeah, second paragraph, second line. The word
Wrong
T,
page.
you were asking for corrections on page 2, correct?
Correct.
yes,
That's
Oh, I've opened this one.
206. Where it says appropriate with a $5,000 in effect at the, you got tie, I think you meant to put the word time, TIME instead of TIE.
Got it.
Also, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth paragraph, if you call the first line one liner a paragraph. I'm not sure what's being said. It said Mr. Stats introduced himself, a resident for 4 years.
40.
Yeah, it's 40 years. Let's see.
And I know David raised his hand, he'd like to make a comment when
Okay.
you're done, Stan.
And then the last paragraph, I'm not sure what's being expressed there. The Whitney, with Whitney Road, and then the next line down, we have Whitney Hill. I think it was meant to be Whitney Hill in every case of those two cases where it's mentioned. So instead of Whitney Road on line 1, it should be Whitney Hill.
Okay,
And one other, it's what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ninth paragraph down, the third line, fourth word from the end. And you have there that the grant has not been approved. I think what should have been there, I'm not sure what was said, but what would make sense in the scope of the situation, or the extent, was that word should have been scope of work. The scope of work had not been approved until June 28th. And that's because the grant had been approved 10 or 12 years earlier. So the grant was approved, they were just waiting for the scope of work to be provided to them in order to okay the scope, the contractors, et cetera.
let the record show.
Okay.
David, did you want to say something? You had your hand up?
Yeah, Stan got most of the things that I had noted, but in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7th paragraph down, it begins, there was discussion, the paragraph. About the fourth line, there's a expression that the board had been in different hands when discussing scope of work. That I think whatever was said was, I guess I'm not sure, quite frankly, what was said, because that the scope of work has all been handled during the same select board term. So I'm not
I don't have
exactly
that in front of
sure.
me, but is that sentence necessary?
It's not necessary. Yeah, I think you could just
I'll
strike
strike it.
that whole clause that the board had been in different hands when discussing scope of work. Yeah, exactly. I would just take that. And then the only other thing I had at the very last paragraph on that page, the end of the third line that he had installed some fabric under the road. I think what Mark had said is that we had discussed the possibility of installing fabric. I just want to make sure we don't lead people to believe that we have installed any fabric under the road on Whitney Hill, because we haven't. So you could just change that to, we've considered installing some fabric under the road, something like that.
Yeah, that he had discussed, sure.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. Any other items on page 2 of 6? Page 3 of 6?
Yeah,
Stan?
yeah, last paragraph last paragraph on the page under old business around schoolhouse. The date that I believe was stated for completion was August 1st and not August 18th. We had been instructed by the Preservation Trust to have work done by the 1st of August.
Okay,
I have an item under new business. It's the sentence that starts off with, Mr. Bills added that the town must rent the needed equipment. Should say, Mr. Bills added that the town must rent. Just strike the word does, DOES.
okay.
Anything else, Bruce?
Yes, under the heading of the sand bid, at the end of the explanation of the sand bid, Peter, it says the statement with Ms. Maggio read the above RFP. At the very last part of that sentence, it says listserv SRV.
That's how it's.
That's what it's supposed to be spelled?
Mm-hmm.
That's ERV, serv.
Oh, all right. That's.
And
Mr. Mello is too young to remember that ancient technology.
Is that a compliment?
at the very bottom of that page where Stan was talking about, at the very last sentence, it says, Mr. Mello confirmed that the contract fulfilled as it was originally written. I don't remember saying that, but I did say Mr. Mello discussed this confusion happening twice.
I think I know what, if I can offer a comment. In reading this, if I hadn't attended the meeting, I wouldn't know what some of these partial sentences are really intimating. I mean, it's a way, it's good for us, but it might not be fair to our citizens who are trying to get wind of this. I believe what that last sentence is that when we were talking about the fact that we had learned that the Historic Society or Historic Commission, whichever it is, talked with the vendor about the windows. The vendor told me that he was told by one of the Historic Commission members that they wanted only the outside of the windows done, not the interior of the windows done. And I believe Bruce was indicating that a similar situation had happened on the daycare center.
Correct.
Where the same vendor
Right.
made a comment about only the exterior was to be
Correct.
done.
Correct.
And that had to be discussed at the time with the vendor. So I believe that's one of these partial sentences that it got across something that was said, but in a way that makes it undetectable to even the person who might have said it. Nothing meant malice or intended, it's just that's the way things need to go, I guess, to put all this down in one place.
Let's take it out and shoot it until it's dead. I want you to know I'm really gratified that this select board actually reads these things. This is actually quite unusual. And you are all to be commended. You're all to be commended for your assiduity in the conduct of your.
Assiduity? Wait, what was that, assiduity?
Let's go, we gotta go.
Okay, sorry.
Include that in your minutes, we'll have to explain.
Assiduousness.
Anything else on the page?
Detail.
No.
Page 4.
Yes,
All right, Stan?
under reports, second paragraph, it says Mr. Nogus suggested. And I believe I advised, I didn't suggest. Cause I wasn't suggesting that there was a survey done, we did a survey. And we did review pays, benefits, et cetera, of other towns, so I would just change that word from suggested to advised.
And so mote it be.
Not is, but was done.
Yeah, that's the only word, advised, that, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Good catch, Glenn. Ms. Noga advised that a survey of town employees was done, would be the proper way of expressing that sentence, so.
Got it.
Thank you.
I have one item. Down under car, tree and timber, quote for 1 day's work. It said Ms. Maggio suggested inviting Carr to a regular